Yoga is a holistic practice that originated in ancient India and has since gained worldwide popularity. It is not just a form of exercise, but a way of life that encourages self awareness and inner peace. Hi, I'm Tej. I host Chezuba Talks, a series of talks with incredible people in the nonprofit community. I'm a yoga teacher myself, and it gives me great pleasure to talk to Steven Brice today. Steven Brice is a registered yoga teacher of the Ashtanga Vinyasa style of yoga. He also has a trauma informed yoga teacher training certificate and a yoga for Parkinson's disease certificate. And he has availed the volunteer services on the Chezuba platform. Very happy to have you on the podcast, Stephen.
Thank you. I'm honored to be on this podcast with you. Thank you for the opportunity.
How was your experience at Chezuba at the outset?
It was wonderful. Our volunteer was superb in accomplishing the task and completing the objective. And so I
Mhm.
highly recommend nonprofit leaders to check you all out.
Thank you. I'm honored. I will communicate that to the team as well. So, Stephen, yoga is for everyone, right? It just requires dedication and an open mind. Is that how you got into it?
Yeah, absolutely. I truly believe that yoga is for everybody, and one has to be positioned to find their practice. And so I'm committed through Yoga for the World 501(c)(3) and its Yoga for Philly chapter to help individuals discover one, yoga, and then number two, for them to find their own practice.
So, very true. What initiated you into yoga? Did you start off by, wanting to be physically active, or is it some kind of meditation? How did you get into it?
Yeah, so I was battling depression for 5 long years. And for our listeners, just a quick trigger warning. I was suicidal. I was going through what Saint John of the Cross and Mother Teresa will call the dark night of the soul, this season of intense separation and darkness. And towards the end of 2014, I was listening to one of Russell Simmons' interviews. And if you know anything about Russell, Russell is big on practicing yoga and meditation and practicing vegan. And so I decided to try something new to help me cope with my then crisis. And so on January the 1st, 2015, I went on YouTube and started the 30 days of yoga with Adrian. I did not have a yoga mat. All I had was a carpet in my living room.
Uh-huh.
And I started to just practice yoga 20 to 30 minutes a day, following the curriculum of Adrian. And I fell in love with the practice of yoga, so much so that I joined the studio while living in Dallas, Texas at the time. And that yoga studio called Sync Yoga and Wellness Center, which unfortunately is no longer in
Oh.
existence, became my everything. I was there 7 days a week, and there were some days where I would stay for a second class. That's how much I loved that space. But I couldn't help but to realize that oftentimes I was the only black male in the yoga studio. And so I wanted to do something about it. So then comes the birth of Yoga for Philly a couple of years
Mhm.
later.
Oh, lovely. That's really heartwarming to hear that. And a big shout out to Adrian.
Yeah,
Uh, so tell us about the organization. Now, Yoga for the World ensures that yoga and meditation are accessible to all individuals, right? You just mentioned about you being the only person in that yoga class. So, do you also, um, is this regardless of financial or, social circumstances as well?
absolutely. And that's the reason why we started the organization itself. We started off as Yoga for Philly as at June the
Right.
28th, I moved to
Hmm.
Philadelphia.
Hmm.
And then on April 2019, I launched Yoga for Philly. I was just thinking locally, right? And so we we noticed that our that the opportunities was bigger than just offering classes for the
Mhm,
community. We realized that seniors needed access to yoga, primarily
mhm,
chair
mhm,
yoga.
mhm,
We realized that coming out of the pandemic, children needed access to yoga and meditation, including teachers. We realized that women of color during their prenatal years needed access to mindfulness tools. We realized so many other people needed access to yoga and meditation, no matter who they are, no matter what their social status might be, their economic level might be. Everyone needs access to this. And so during the pandemic, I went to the Poconos, grew my beard out, shaved my head, lived with some cavemen for a while, I'm joking here, but I did go to the Poconos to dream again, to spend some time imagining what can we become, because
mhm,
I started to notice that in our within our virtual space, our audience had grown beyond the state of Pennsylvania. We had students from all across the United States. We had students from London, Haiti, Mexico, Germany, and so on and so forth. And so I knew that the name Yoga for Philly would not meet or completely fit the
mhm.
growing impact that we were having. And so I came back with a fresh 10-year vision. And part of that vision was to change our name from Yoga for Philly to Yoga for the World, and for us to revamp the Yoga for Philly chapter to become a prototype so that Yoga for the World will then be able to multiply its chapter all over the world
Lovely.
using Yoga for Philly as a model.
Wonderful. And so your
Yeah,
classes are virtual and you also hold physical classes?
correct. Yes.
Wonderful.
So we have classes all over Philadelphia County. We go to the institutions, we go to the schools, we partner with community centers, and we offer classes, and we also have virtual classes, and we're preparing to launch additional virtual classes in 2024.
That's amazing. Lovely. Let's talk about your prenatal yoga classes for women of color and their, partners. I think this is a unique initiative. Nobody thinks of starting yoga with the partner, you know, prenatal
Right.
yoga. So, is this very popular, and how do you address the specific needs and challenges faced by this demographic?
Absolutely. And so our prenatal yoga classes, and we're still trying to figure out a nice name for our initiative. We have yoga for kids, yoga for seniors, yoga for Parkinson's disease, and we play around with the idea of maybe saying yoga for mommies to be. We're just trying to find the sweet spot there. But for right now, our prenatal yoga for women of color was inspired by me just reading about the disparities that women of color face in the health industry and department during their prenatal years. I couldn't shake the fact that women of color are 3 to 4 more likely to die during pregnancy than that of white women. And there's a laundry list of reasons as to why that is the case. And one of the reasons is a result of the lack of physical activity or access to physical activity, the lack of mindfulness, or access to
Yes.
mindfulness. And so since we are a mindfulness organization, I said let's do something about this. And so we partnered with different organizations in the city to launch our prenatal yoga classes for women of color, and it has blown up. I constantly
Yeah.
get emails from people asking, "Is there space for me?" and things like that. And so when we launched the initiative, we realized that the partner of the one who is pregnant needs to be there. It's a great bonding experience, right? And so we're really excited about this initiative, and we see great potential to add elements to this particular class and initiative that will hopefully invest in the family as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it will, and very thoughtful of you to have started this initiative. Let's take a break to understand what Chizuba is. Everyone at some point ponders on how this beautiful life can be made more meaningful. Maybe you're a leader trying to enhance your employees' experience at your organization. Or you already work for the community and seek volunteers with state of the art skills to strengthen your nonprofit. Whatever your situation, know that you can make a difference. Chizuba began with this very vision, a vision to facilitate every skill and every passion in the world in meeting a social need. Corporate volunteering has several benefits for both businesses and organizations. In parallel, experienced and enthusiastic volunteers join NGO workers, enabling them to serve the community more effectively. Chizuba offers everyone looking to add purpose and meaning to their lives a chance to connect or volunteer virtually with nonprofit organizations from over 100 countries around the world. Visit www.chizuba.net and explore opportunities to find meaning. Chizuba, your platform to do good. And now, back with our guest. I also read up about you starting, yoga for the world in a community that is impacted by poverty and drug abuse. So, what is that area, and what are you doing there?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There is a neighborhood in Philadelphia called Kensington. Kensington is the epic center of the opioids and heroin crisis and fentanyl crisis. Um, as of today, this crisis has spread beyond the neighborhood of Kensington. It is spreading all across the city itself. And so we want to think about that too. But for the sake of your question, Kensington is a neighborhood that has been bombarded with drug abuse and sex trafficking and poverty. And so I remember during the early stages of Yoga for Philly, I was driving for Uber. And oftentimes my passengers, the ride would lead me either into or through Kensington. And I could not help but to see the despair, the pain, the abuse that was happening in that particular neighborhood. And I just started to wonder, what if yoga can help? What if yoga can be supportive, can
Right, right. And
help one? I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I get that. So, do you think you practicing yoga has kind of opened up your mind to be more perceptive about the problems that you see every day?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think my own crisis has humbled me and allowed me to be a little bit more relatable and curious. And so I'm using this platform to see what could happen in helping women impacted or caught in sex trafficking. What would happen in the lives of those who have been impacted by poverty and drug abuse?
Right. So, in such an area like you say Kensington, for example, yoga is not exactly a very fast kind of activity, not like aerobics. It is definitely a slower, more mindful kind of practice. So, do you feel that it is taking some time for people from that area to accept it or to enjoy it?
I think that when our students attend our classes, they enjoy it. They leave with a sense of gratitude and appreciation for our approach. Our approach is beginner friendly. Our approach is trauma informed, and we provide a tons of cues to assist the students to explore their practice. I think the missing link at times is the knowledge that this practice actually belongs to them, and so finding ways for this practice to become a part of their daily rhythm, their identity, will be is a task that or an objective that we're aiming for. So we're not just providing yoga, we're also communicating a message that this is your practice. This belongs
Yeah,
to you.
that's true. And when you talk about meditation, meditation requires focus, it requires being still, it requires a sort of concentrated effort. Now, for somebody who is afflicted with, say, drug abuse, for example, it must be a difficult proposition. So, do you get intervention from the medical fraternity or, some health professionals there to help out with this kind of session?
Absolutely. And so what we do, we use more so the breath work technique, in the more in segments and short segments, right? To build the muscle, to build the mindset around meditation. And so doing quick box breathing, either before, sometimes during, or even after the practice, has proven to help folks who have never meditated before to one trust their own breath, and to reestablish a relationship with their breath. Thereby they will eventually be able to sit in meditation for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or whatever the magic number might be.
Yeah, you got the right word there. Building a relationship with your breath. That's so important at all
Yeah,
stages. And
yeah.
lastly, tell us, Stephen, actually, two questions here. One is, what do you feel of the crop of yoga centers that are coming up with, hot yoga, goat yoga, or, beer yoga and stuff like that? What is your take on that?
I don't necessarily have a take. I'm just really focused on the work that I'm doing. I am personally, I love hot yoga. I love the yeah, I love hot yoga, but I don't necessarily think much about all the different uh, styles of yoga that's coming up in the world. I'm more so focused on what I'm doing.
Fantastic. And lastly, how is it that somebody can help out with your organization? Jezub is an online volunteering platform. So you used that platform for what help, and how can other volunteers help you?
I'm glad you asked. We just recently launched our Yoga for Kids fundraiser. We're looking to raise $10,000 to support our work in 30 plus schools here in Philadelphia. And so, to everyone listening, we need your assistance. We need your confidence. We need your help. Please go to www.yogaforphilly.org. Scroll down just a little bit, and you will see the Yoga for Kids fundraising link. Please click on that. Check us out. And if your heart moves you to give, we will be profoundly thankful for your confidence and your support.
Lovely. Well, I wish you all the support and help that you can get on our platform and from anybody who's listening and watching this.
Thank you so much.
Through mindful practices and unwavering support, Yoga for the numeric for the world, embodies the transformative power of yoga and meditation. So, this work not only fosters physical and mental well being, but also demonstrates the profound impact that compassion and inclusivity can have on communities everywhere.